As a kid, what did you think was a very normal thing to do, which it really wasn't? Having a path through the house surrounded by boxes and junk stacked to the ceiling. I grew up in a hoarder house. Occasionally we kids would run too fast through the path, knocking into the sides, and the boxes and stuff would collapse on top of us. This one hits close. The paths through the house. The weird thing was that my mom was a clean freak about floors, dishes, laundry and whatnot. House always smelled nice. But the things would all be moved to clean and then stacked up the walls again. Like, dude, you don't need 8 sets of nice dishes kept in boxes if you're never going to use them. I smiled with my lips on the inside of my mouth. I don't know how I managed to not learn how to smile properly, but I thought I was smiling normally until a kid said, "Stop smiling like that, you look weird," and I spent a good week looking up pictures of smiles and practicing how to smile. I'm confused as to how this would look. Like, you curl your lips around your teeth? To be honest, I never saw what it looked like myself in a mirror or something. I think I just pursed them into a thin line and used my cheek muscles to curl it on the sides. If it helps, I showed my boyfriend and he said I look like Donald Duck without a beak. When you went to the sitter every day, you were to sit on the couch and never move. Seriously, my brothers, sister and I were forced to sit on the couch with the TV on at the sitter's house, while her kids ran around like a bunch of hellions. When we got a new sitter after moving, all 4 of us promptly sat on the couch and stayed there. Our new sitter pulled a bunch of toys out and sat in the floor and played with us. A literal sitter. I got shockingly far in Op's story thinking he wrote Craper. We had to sit quietly on the couch after my nanny's husband got home. I don't think it was ever actually for that long before my dad picked us up, but it always felt like an eternity. I always found him to be very scary and dreaded that part of the day. A few years later we were in daycare instead. My mom came to pick us up early and found that the teacher was making everyone just sit silently, spaced out from each other, no toys, no moving. She dug into the issue further and learned that this was pretty common there and not just like a moment of trying to restore order to the class or anything. We changed daycares shortly after. The next daycare had practically no rules. We just ran wild while the teachers smoked and watched us. We effing loved it. To be honest, that last daycare sounds kind of fun even for adult me. If you want, you and some fellow adults can come over and run around in my yard while I have a smoke and watch you. No rules except that I'm in charge if someone gets hurt. Not telling your family when or where you were going or what you were up to or how long you would be gone. I remember as early as 6 I was wandering off to another neighborhood and across a busy road to find playmates. As I got older, I would go to friends' houses for days on end, still never needing to check with anyone or let anyone know at home I was going. It didn't really click until I got my first roommate after college who bugged out and was about to call the cops because I went to my boyfriend's house, turned my phone off and took a long nap in the middle of the day as he worked nights. We had an argument where I kept saying I'm an adult, you don't need to keep track of me, and it took a while for me to understand that even adults check in with each other for safety and they don't normally just disappear for a few days. Wash my 2 pairs of pants and 2 sweaters every few days, because they were the only clothes my parent had bought me for school. Eating canned button mushrooms for lunch because there was nothing else to eat in the house. Not for a lack of parental funds. Didn't realize other kids didn't live like this until I hit 13-ish. Biting my washcloth in the bath. Oh crap, I forgot about this. I remember the exact taste too, which was at least 22 years ago lol. I loved doing this as a child, especially if it was sitting out for a minute and kind of cold. So satisfying. I'm 28 and still do this, like, once a month. Having camping nights. Mom would light candles and make dinner with camping gear. She and I would play games until my bedtime, huddled up in the living room. It was because she was crazy poor when she divorced my dad, and a few times she couldn't pay the electricity on time. I thought it was fun. If you haven't, you should tell her. When our kids were young, we rented a house in a more posh neighborhood, to be close to my husband's job, and it was impossible to keep up with the Joneses. We just didn't have the money. But I did things like reading Little House on the Prairie by oil lamplight, or turning our already very sparsely furnished house into a haunted house for my son's birthday party. My daughter told me recently that she adored the lamplight readings, and the cool rich classmates said it was the best birthday party they'd been to. It meant a lot to this mom, who wanted to give her kids the world but couldn't afford it. Edited because rambunctious puppies caused a post before I was finished. Tongue. Aw, what a great mom. I also have a positive poverty memory. Payday Eve dinner. We would scrounge for change until we had enough to buy a pound of flour and some baking soda. Then my mom would make like 4 loaves of homemade bread, and get out every single thing of butter, peanut butter, or preserves that we had, and we would just had a delicious dinner of fresh cooked bread and tasty jam. It was great. Whispering what I just said back to myself. Apparently I did it all the time as a kid and never noticed until a couple of friends pointed it out to me. I would be like, let's play Barbies. And then quietly, let's play Barbies. I have no idea what that was about. Edited to add, thank you for the silver brick. Have speed up spells where it feels like I just got off a treadmill and my internal monologue is yelling. Turns out I have epilepsy and was having seizures. Didn't realize back when I was like 7, but presented with tonic-clonics, grand mal, at 15. Or listen to the air vent and hear music in white noise. This was likely auditory hallucinations, also due to epilepsy. Stupid brain. I pretty much always hear faint music in white noise. It feels like it's a song I know, but it's just not loud enough that I could recognize and be sure. As far as I know, it's just our brains trying to make sense of information and effing it up. Basically something called pareidolia, where the brain sees faces or shapes in patterns or hears music in white noise or running water. Well, I just found out I have some things to bring up with my doctor. I've never known anyone else that experiences that sensation, the yelling internal monologue and treadmill feeling. It happens sporadically and not too often, and I've never brought it up, but it's happened to me since I was a kid. I'm 28 now. Hey, I get that same thing. First paragraph, roughly every few months for 20 minutes at a time, and I've always just written it off as anxiety attacks, but you just described it perfectly to a T. Have you ever had an anxiety attack / would you be able to explain the difference? They sound very similar. My family are not comfortable around each other. Never any touching, kissing or cuddling. Any physical contact is forced and horribly awkward. No one also talks, and any disagreements simmer for years with a grudging resentment. When I first started dating my now husband, I was shocked his family would just sit close to each other, like their legs would touch on the couch. Like not overly touchy, just normal, but not normal to me. They also spoke to each other if they were upset. I was quite envious. Experienced this with my ex-boyfriend's family I lived with for a few years. It took me a while to get used to, but it taught me so much about what I want for myself someday. My family, parents, siblings, never really says I love you or anything. My husband's family does. I say it to my kids all the time. My 11-year-old will randomly text me I love you. I feel like it is so much warmer. This was my family growing up. One time my mom said I love you when we were hanging up. I froze and quickly said bye. I was 26 at the time. Not having an affectionate or even open family dynamic made me feel alone growing up. I refuse to have my children feel that way. So I am constantly telling them I love them and am hugging them. Edit. Thank you /userownshockkiller29 for the award. Reddit link. Trusting everything people say to me. This is an underrated comment. For some reason I think I was born an idealist or something. I was told as a kid that lying is wrong, because I clearly and intentionally lied once, and that we should always tell the truth. So I just thought that everyone told the truth, and if someone lied, their feelings would be hurt immediately, as if somehow the person knew right away. So I've always trusted others 100%. I've slowly gotten depressed because thinking everyone else is right makes everything I think wrong. And now I'm trying hard to learn to not trust others always. My mom hates lies. She is also very good at telling when someone is lying, and everyone knows it. Most people don't flat out lie to her or around her. It isn't worth it. This resulted in me growing up with the assumption that the vast majority of people normally tell the truth. It wasn't until college that I found out most people don't consider lying a big deal and do it fairly regularly. Which I honestly still find really messed up. I think the degree of lying and who you lie to matters a lot. Like if I need a mental health day, I would tell my partner that, but I would tell a coworker that I was sick. Or I had a job that we had a really hard time scheduling time off even though we had the staffing. So I would tell my coworkers when I would need a day for whatever reason and then I would call in sick. To me, those aren't a big deal because the people who are affected get the pertinent information. Apparently, when I was a kid, I used to pick up quarters on the street. My parents didn't want me doing that, so my dad told me to not pick up coins, because people put them in their butts. I didn't use change for anything until I started driving at 16. Ask Crack Bandit. Whoever awarded the bear hug, too soon? Bear down for midterms. My parents told me the same thing. Except they were racist. According to them, all money could have been up a black person's butthole. When I was in 4th grade, I actually asked a black kid if they did that. He just stared at me with a blank look on his face and shook his head no. See, if it was me, I would have said, of course, where do you put them? Where is your secret gold? Right there below your name, silly. Now shove it up your butt. Lol, that poor boy. You probably confused the boy so damn bad he couldn't tell if you were effing with him, being racist, or just an idiot. Poor K, no lost trace? Something tells me that you're going to enjoy, web link. Huh, that's the first thing I thought of too. You put coins up your ass while driving? It's an old trucker's trick to stay awake on long drives. Try it on your next road trip. When you hear the coins razzing, it's due for a toilet break. Sitting together at the table for meals, especially dinner. We frequently got McDonald's, had TV dinners, or had ramen/mac and cheese. I didn't know until I was an older teen that families actually sat down to talk to each other every day, because I thought that only happened in shows and movies. Sitting down at the table makes me uncomfortable, even to this day. Like, I don't even know how to prep the table. My parents made us have dinner around the table to talk about our days, but it always seemed forced. It didn't help that I would be yelled at or chastised for anything I said about school, but also criticized for being silent, so I wanted to eat dinner in front of the TV just so they'd pay attention to something else. This was my normal. It was really strange when I ate in friends' houses and they seemed to actually enjoy talking about their day because they weren't yelled at or criticized for common daily activities. Other people don't feel sick with dread for months before visiting home for the holidays. I don't get it. Like, how? If you really feel that way, you're better off not going. Using corn bags. They're cotton squares or rounds filled with dried corn. You put them in the microwave for a heating pad and the freezer for an ice pack. I still use and make them, I just didn't realize nobody else used them until like high school. Laughing my butt off. Edit, I'm loving all the different variations people had/have of this. I'm glad I'm not alone. You can also use rice. We do something similar with cherry stones or other fruits with little stones. But nothing can beat the sound of such bags. Rice socks. You fill a tightly woven sock with rice, tie it closed at the top, and it does the same thing. Now just the smell of hot microwaved raw rice makes me feel warm and cozy. Shoveling food into your face as quickly as possible while huddled around the TV. It wasn't until a sleepover at a friend's house that I encountered a family sitting around a dinner table talking about their day. At the time it made me super uncomfortable, but I've learned to slow down and appreciate it more with time. I'm a 34-year-old man and I sadly know I can eat a tilapia fillet in 6 seconds. Recruiter, do you have any special skills? Chief Justice Gritty. In a similar vein, becoming protective about your food because at any moment, a parent or sibling could go, oh hey, I want that, and snatch it off your plate. Becoming protective about your food because at any moment, a parent or sibling could go, oh hey, I want that, and snatch it off your plate. That's sad. I know when parents do this to kids, people justify this by saying the kids didn't pay for it. This is just encouraging scarfing down food before anybody else has a chance to grab it. Which is something we don't want to teach our kids. Yeah. I only tax the kids a little nibble if they require me to open the package. Even then, It's more to be silly. Let the kids eat if they are hungry. My aunt did that and I loved it because usually if you were nice and paid the toll, she rewarded you with an extra cookie, lollipop, or a surprise kiss on the cheek or hug for sharing. There's always been a one-taste ice cream tax in my family. Goes back generations. Like that obnoxious McDonald's commercial where the dad takes a huge bite of the kid's breakfast sandwich. Such a dick move. I have to hover over my mom when she asks for a bite of my food. I'll say a small bite and she'll say okay, okay. And then eat half my sandwich in one bite, upside down face. Tell her you'll save her a bite instead. Not quite the same, but meal related. It's apparently normal to enjoy talking about their day around the dinner table and have normal conversations, instead of tensely chewing one's own food because mom and dad hate each other and have a hair-trigger temper and anything us kids do in school or life is never good enough for them, so why bother bringing it up? My husband shovels food and I think it comes from being number 5 of 6 kids. If he didn't eat fast enough, it would be taken by another sibling. If you notice someone eating their food quickly, chances are, they were in the armed forces or is a younger sibling. Or a former prisoner. My family had dinner together at the dining room table 6 nights a week. We went out once a week together, for the first 15-ish years of my life. Kids set the table and did the dishes. We discussed current events, books, philosophy, etc. We used cloth napkins. My ex-wife grew up eating huddled around the TV at best. More often than not, they just find food on their own and take it to their rooms if the family members bothered to come home at all. They also argued constantly. Every family meal I had with her family contained at least 2 people angrily screaming at one another about something. She absolutely couldn't handle my family meals. She tried to pick fights with people constantly and got even more frustrated when nobody would take the bait. We're Jewish. My family used to play Would They Hide Us? A fun dinner time conversation game where we suggest families we're friends with and figure out whether they would be willing and capable of hiding us should the Nazis ever take over America. I thought everyone did that. I'm Jewish, and this is simultaneously hilarious to me and super depressing. Is it weird that I thought about all of the spots in my house that could feasibly hide Jewish people if the need should arise? I would hide you. Tick me on your list. Thank you for watching. If you like our videos, please like them on YouTube. And share them with your friends. Please subscribe to be the first to know about Red Rabbit Reader's new videos. We welcome your comments below. Another of our videos will begin shortly.